Welcome in. You are speaking with the Meeple's champion, and we're here for our 5th week of an expansion review. And today we're jumping into one of my favorite styles, which is going into a trilogy of games. Today we're going to be going into Raiders of the North Sea, and the expansion is Fields of Fame. Now, I love Raiders of the North Sea. When it comes to the North Sea and the West Kingdom trilogies, Raiders is my absolute favorite of all the games. I really love the mechanic of placing down a meeple to get a worker placement spot, but then immediately getting to grab from another location and getting to have 2 abilities in one turn, trying to balance how to best take advantage of that, while at the same time having the option to say, well, instead of going to the village, I'm going to go raid, and based on what I've collected from the village, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go to a location, I'm going to pay by having the right size crew. If it's required, the gold. Make sure that I have enough of my food stores to be able to feed my crew. Make sure I've built up enough, depending on if I'm going to the beginning, where I'm on the outskirts, or if I'm going further up, be able to defeat them with the power level I have, plus potentially what I have to roll on the dice. I love that idea. Fields of Fame brings in a great new aspect to this. Of course, you have the basics. There are some new crew members that are going to be shuffled into the deck, so you have some more options there. You have 3 new spots you can go to. So you now have this new spot that you're able to go and investigate, get more points, and go after pieces there. But then you have the Jarls. Now the Jarls are going to bring in a new piece that gets added to where you go on the board. So just like when you take out the Valkyries, which are the black pieces, and these pieces are basically you get it, you kill a crew member, you up on that track. The Jarls are a blue piece. And when you get it, depending on how many you get, you draw as many of those Jarls as you want. You choose the order. And now you're going to have to one by one choose how to deal with them. You can choose to fight them and try to kill them. And if you do, you're going to take all of the damage from them. So you add up what their power level is. You add 1. You take these little blood tokens. You spread them out between all of your cards. You can only put them on there representing to the card's base value for its power level. And you cannot put more there than their power. So if somebody has a power of 4, you can only put up to 4. If they have a power of 0, they can't put any. Even if something else is giving it extra level, it only affects the base value. And this is going to not kill them. If you ever get somebody to 0, they don't die, but it affects their total power, which because you have a crew of 5 at most, this is a huge effect when it comes to trying to affect how you're going into battles. You're going to have to start deciding if you need to kill crew off or if you're going to find a way to heal them. So you have that. Then you have the ability to say, well, instead of trying to kill them, I'm going to try to join them into my crew. This means you take their base value and you minus 1. You still spread out the damage from that. But then after you've done the damage, you pay the cost, you add them to your crew. This is a great option. This usually gives you a pretty good powerhouse. Most of the Jarls are coming in at a 6 or a 5, and they usually have pretty good abilities. Now, if you do the killing of them, you're going to move 2 up on the Jarl track. It's the Fame track. The Fame track is huge because there's so much points to be earned. If you get to the top of that track, that's a 15 victory point payout. That's much, much bigger than if you're doing your armor track, which maxes at 6, and it ties your Valkyrie track. So that's huge. But then you're also going to be dealing with, if you choose to join your crew, that the card itself has the join the crew or kill it reward. The join the crew is a one-time, usually victory points thing. It might be giving you stuff based on how much plunder you have or how high up on the Fame track you are already. Whereas the kill usually gives you additional plunder, additional gold. It might give you victory points. It might move you a Fame. So you have these options. You also have the option to retreat. You might have built an amazing crew. You really feel pretty strong about going into the bigger battles, and you don't want to lose any of your points to the blood tokens. So you say, all right, I'm going to retreat, which means you get nothing, and then you have to choose to either take a hit on your Fame or your victory point track by 1 spot. If you have a spot to lose, you lose it. If you're on 0s on both, nothing happens. So those are the Jarls. Those are the new pieces being added to the game. It's a really great piece to this game, and to me, this is just a fantastic mold in because you don't feel like the game's massively changed. It feels the same. Even the fact that this extra board, the Jarls and the new 3 spots are on, it goes to the side. The picture of the regular board continues over as if you continue down the river. I really like how it fit in, and it felt so easy to just pick it up and go. And on top of that, you also get a 5th player, which for me is always a huge deal, especially if it doesn't feel forced. There can be a game where they threw a 5th player in and it just feels like there's a reason you had 4 and this expansion doesn't make this worth being 5. This game doesn't do that. I think that the 5th player works great here. Well, that's the basics, but why don't we jump in? Let's talk our 7 categories and see where this game really lands for us. When it comes to the art, I love the art. This game has always been one of my favorite for the box art, the card art, the board art. It continues that, and if anything, it makes me a little bit more excited because now the 5th character is in orange, which is my 2nd favorite color and is a rare color. You don't get orange as a player color very often. So, love the art. Thumbs up. Components. You're continuing with great cards, good stock. You're going to continue to have, when it comes to all the pieces on the board, everything's in wooden pieces. Really great there. The Jarl pieces are all wooden. The new board, it's another great cardboard setup that goes right next to it. Doesn't feel like they used a flimsy board. They used a good base level board game board. I love that. Thumbs up. Your price. This game's right in that $25-$30 range. It's out there. Most stores that have the base games have the expansions as well. This is probably going to be in like 2 out of 5 board game stores, but it's always available online. It's not too expensive and it's worth its money. Thumbs up. Your difficulty. This is not a game that I think is massively easy. A young kid's going to get a little confused because the game has a lot of rules going to it. That being said, it's not a hard game to pick up. It's just a hard game to master. And I think this expansion fits perfectly because you can play the base game with it and you don't even have to play any differently. You can really play through and still have the same experience, and you can choose just never to go to the township, to never play with the fame, to never really go to anything that had a Jarl on it, although you never know where the Jarls are going to end up, but there's not enough Jarls that it's going to truly overwhelm the board. So you can choose that, but even if you choose to use it, it doesn't change much up about it. It just gives it a little bit more of a flex and a feel of that sway of how you play through the game. So for me, the difficulty continues to be, it's not so difficult you can't have beginning and less experienced players enjoy it, but it's also not one that's going to be so easy that the more experienced can't say, oh, I can find a way to play this and have a fun time. Thumbs up. Replayability. This game has so much replayability, and this expansion continues that with it. I think this game's just as replayable with or without the expansion. It's got to be a thumbs up. Keys to victory. This game continues your basics. You can choose to go below and go into the village. You can choose to go above and you can try to raid. You could try to be focusing in on building up your armor for the armor track. You could be focusing on trying to build up your Valkyries so that you get the Valkyrie bonus. You could be going after the different types of resources, the gold, the stone, going after all of your cows and building up victory points that way. Or you could be going into the corner and spending those and your money trying to get your tokens there. They're going to have the shown when you get it, but when you put it face down afterwards and your opponents can lose track and not realize how much you built up in points. You can go for pure victory points. Or now, with this expansion, you can go to the fame points. You can go for the bonus points, which is if you build up a really powerful crew and you go in and you have to hit a certain limit, whatever the max is. If it says you need 36, you get all your points, you roll your dice, and if you go beyond the 36, depending on how far beyond it you go, you get fame points. If you go 4 points above its max, you get 1. If you go, I think it's 8, you get 2, and if it's 12, you get 3. It's a great addition. There are definitely keys to victory here. Thumbs up. Is it unique? This expansion is extremely unique. It brings in the aspects of the regular game. It does a little bit of a shift by having a new way to get new members to your crew who you have to fight, which I love. new spaces and new ways to have things put on the board that just aren't affecting them, but are spread beyond. As a comparison, if you look at when I went and played Lords of Waterdeep and I got those expansions, the expansions didn't affect the base game. It didn't all of a sudden have all those spaces get changed. They just had new spaces that were different. This game actually takes pieces, mixes in, and affects all the original game spots. I think that's a really unique setup because it makes the whole game feel different. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? I think this is one of the best games I've ever played. I've always said it. I think that it's the best from this company, and I think that it's a game that for me lands in my top 25. It pushes for top 10 all the time. I think that this expansion is without question one of my favorite expansions for giving a game new life that I didn't even realize it needed. And it's not that the base game doesn't survive on its own. It does. I will go play the base game without it again. But I love this expansion. I'm excited now to go try other expansions. I know I've got Hall of Heroes waiting in the wings, and when I get that out, I'm going to review that next, and I hope that one can get as much of a glowing review as this got the 7 thumbs up, and that's a rare for me. So I really like this game. I recommend everybody give it a try, and if you have the base game, just buy it. It's not too much money. You're going to enjoy it. I can't imagine somebody that likes the base wouldn't enjoy this. And if nothing else, at least you get that 5th player. Well, we have been speaking about the Raiders of the North Sea expansion, Fields of Fame. And you've been speaking to the Meeple's champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this expansion for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.